When I first heard about the mobile game Fire Emblem Heroes, I'd imagine it would go through an identical phase as Pokemon Go. Player rates would skyrocket in the first few months, only to slowly decrease and eventually die an honorable death. Needlessly to say, I was wrong. Weird, right? Fire Emblem Heroes is still very much alive, with Nintendo still releasing new content as we speak, and fans who are eager to talk about new builds, strategies and the latest atomize. But isn't it a bit odd that a mobile game that drives on the spendation of real life money would get such an approval from fans and non-fans alike? Why is it that Fire Emblem Heroes hasn't died yet? A good starting point to answer the question of Heroes' massive popularity is to look at the thing that all these kinds of mobile games have in common: gambling. Gambling has always been part of our culture, from the pharaohs playing with dice in 3000 before Christ to the common man pulling levers we see today. However, these days gambling isn't always legal in all countries. Some countries have very strict rules that downright ban gambling, like Japan for example, who has a very strict no gambling policy, making almost all common gambling games like slot machines or card games illegal practices. But there are exceptions to the rules. These include things like lotteries, public sports betting, pachinko machines, and the one Fire Emblem Heroes falls under, gachas. Gachas or gachapon refers to a variety of vending machines that are very popular in Japan. It works a little bit like this: you spend money, you pull the lever and you get a toy from the machine. However, the biggest difference between normal capsule toy machines and gachas is that gachas tend to contain much higher quality products, making them also much more expensive. While normal toy machines cost around a quarter or so, gachas can cost up to $6 per pull. At first these toy machines might seem harmless, but upon closer inspection you'll see that they use many techniques and have many features that make it akin to a real life slot machine. The biggest of which, and the one gachas are for the most part centered around, are intermittent variable rewards. In the words of Google's design ethicist Tristan Harris, if you want to maximize addictiveness, all tech developers need to do is to link a user's action, like pulling a lever, with a variable reward. You pull a lever and immediately receive either an enticing reward, a match, a prize, or nothing at all. Addictiveness is maximized when the rate of reward is most variable. When we look at Fire Emblem Heroes or gachas in general, we see that all of them have at least one thing in common. That being the way you acquire new characters. The only way for us as players to unlock new characters is by spending in-game currency on the infamous low chance character banners. These banners aren't just like slot machines, they are slot machines. You press a button, you spend your currency and you immediately get a reward. Whether that reward is something good or bad is not up for you to decide, but for Heroes' algorithm. The rewards you get are thus variable, with the chance of you getting a high tier unit being significantly lower than you getting mid tier units or just fodder. Now, I don't want to go too deep into the neuroscience here, because in no way am I an expert on that, but in a nutshell, gachas take advantage of your brain's reward system, i.e. the system that is responsible for motivation, desire or craving for reward, along with many other things. When you finally get the character you wanted, your reward system is triggered, making you feel really good for a second, only for the feeling to fade away a moment after. But now it's already too late. You have experienced the immense pleasure of winning and are hungry for more, gambling away your orbs or even money until you finally get one of those S-rank units again, repeating the cycle all over. Intelligent system knows this. Summoning banners get released once or twice a month, some of which containing characters that we, the players, have voted for. Upon seeing fan favorites being added to the game, the fans will be like, I need this! I know this because I've been there. Just give me Mikaia already! Of course, if gambling was all there was to it, not nearly as many people would have been interested into this game, nor would they still be playing it today. Fire Emblem has had a massive outbreak of publicity over the last couple of years, with Awakening rekindling the once dying flame of the franchise, Fates preserving the flame, and Echoes amplifying it to a big bonfire! People were hungry for the strategy RPG waifu simulator, so when Fire Emblem Heroes came out and delivered on everything the fans wanted, everyone jumped on the Heroes train simply because they wanted to experience more Fire Emblem. However, Heroes isn't just some connect the dots to output ridiculous amounts of damage kind of game that people are used to seeing in gachas, but rather stick to the authentic game principles Fire Emblem is known for and fits it all on your mobile cell phone without looking cluttered or disorganized. The weapon triangle is there, damage is calculated by using the attack and defense and the resistance stats, armored units have low mobility while cavalry has high mobility, certain weapons are effective against certain class types, etc. And maybe that's the thing people most like about the game. It doesn't just try to cash in on the success of the franchise, but it looks and feels like a legit Fire Emblem game with similar rules and challenges, but also tons of extras that make it its own thing. The app's actual functionality keeps the consumer engaged. It is designed to be rewarding on many levels, making for a great user experience. Although that's only half the story. The other reason why Heroes delivers on such a great user experience has to do with the way the interfaces were designed. As someone who has been studying multimedia design for more than a year now, I can only imagine how hard it was to fulfill all the user requirements and order all the content in the right way without making it look confusing. Take this screen for example. It contains a ton of important information, like the unit in question, their name, their stats and skills, etc. And even though most of the info is placed on the bottom of the screen, it's still easy to see what's going on, something that was an issue when I was playing other gacha games. Important information such as the unit's stats and their skills are neatly and stylishly placed together on the same level, while a small gap separates the two. Buttons are easily distinguishable by their shape, which is consistent through all the pages of the app. Icons are also used to great effect to showcase the skills that are currently equipped, what type of unit the character is, and what their current status is. And input hints are given where things aren't clear, like how you can touch the character to make them speak.
I see.
If there's one thing to note here, it's that the name doesn't really look like a button while it actually is. But it's not really a big problem because it doesn't get in the way of the gaming experience. By this screen alone, you can already see how much thought and careful consideration was used while making this app. And the payoff for this is that the player has a good, if not great, user experience. The community also deserves its fair share of credit for the success of Fire Emblem Heroes. They are the reason this game came to life, but more so, they are the reason this game is being kept alive. In the book The Psychology of Persuasion, Robert Cialdini states 6 principles that are used all throughout the web that persuades us into doing the things we do. From those 6, I want to take a closer look at 2 of those principles and how they apply to the community and Fire Emblem Heroes. Those 2 being authority and consensus. Let's start with the principle of consensus. Humans are social animals, which means that we want to do things that we see other people also doing. Pokemon Go is a good example of this. Because so many people were fans of the series and started playing the app, more and more people, even those who weren't interested in the app, like me for example, started going outside in the hope of catching them all, eventually creating an entirely new community of Pokemon Go players. The larger the amount of people doing something that you're aware of, the more likely it is that you eventually join them. Bonus points if they are friends or acquaintances. The same also applies to Fire Emblem Heroes. Since Fire Emblem Heroes came out, there have been so many people constantly making videos regarding the game that everyone who is somewhat familiar with Fire Emblem must have at least heard something about Heroes. People make videos about new units, special banners, strong builds, and leaks, but also make meme videos about it or even forms of Let's Plays. There is just so much content of a fucking mobile game. And it just doesn't end, since Heroes keeps bringing out more content to talk about. All of this content, all of this together, make people want to play the game because they want to be part of that community that Heroes has indirectly created for itself. They also want to show people their unique builds. They also want to discuss the latest news. They also want to make meme videos. They also want to make fucking JoJo. They want to be part of the group. This is also where the other principle of authority comes into play. The principle of authority states that whenever someone with a higher status than you tells you to do something, you're more likely to actually do it. People who are regarded with a lot of respect and others with, well, some kind of respect, also play, review and recommend Fire Emblem Heroes. So if they are playing and obviously enjoying it, then why shouldn't you? It's only natural that you would want to do the same things as the people you are looking up to. This also brings us to another element, namely customization, aka the best thing about this game. Customization allows players to come up with their own strategies and use characters that were first not all that viable. Take for example someone like Felicia, who has great speed and resistance, but lacks severely in attack and defense. She couldn't even make a dent into a normal unit even if she wanted to with her default builds. However, sacrifice some units, give her a poison dagger, distant defense and a wind sweep, and she transforms into a competent mage killer who is also a really good debuffer and, well, she can chip at infantry units. Or take Julia for example, who was meant to be a heavy damage nuke, but fuck it, just throw some speed RVs on it, a summoner support and darting blow, and she can hit up to 46 speed, doubling most of the blue units in the game. Giving players the option to change certain aspects of a character can be so much fun, because it gives you room to experiment with all kinds of crazy builds. And because of the arena and the community, these builds of yours can be shared around with other players. Every time I see one of these crazy builds, I just can't help but crack a smile. Until I realized how busted the build is and one of my units dies on the last battle of the arena, and it's a sad time for everyone, and god. At the end of the day, Fire Emblem Heroes is a game that adapted the best aspects the series has to offer and put it all into your smartphone. It's a fun time waster that gave birth to a whole new community in which people are actually nice and supportive to each other, instead of the constant bitch fighting over post and pre-awakening games. It's a chance to combine multiple fan favorite characters from all over the Fire Emblem universe that you can then fully customize to your own personal preferences and can be shared across the community. But above all, it's a celebration of the Fire Emblem franchise we all know and love. And I think that that's why we play Fire Emblem Heroes. Or of course people just want PNGs of their favorite waifus or husbandos.